An absurd situation from A Time of Love and Tartan by Alexander McCall Smith. The absurdity of Matthew's situation was not lost on him. To be stuck in a corridor with locked doors at either end was not the sort of thing that happened in reality. Such situations were the stuff of urban myths, those hoary but readily believed tales of headless motorcyclists, vanishing hitchhikers, and axe-wielding little old ladies innocently picked up by motorists in supermarket car parks. These stories, although apocryphal, evinced a feeling of dread in the listener. And did the driver only notice the blood-stained axe after he had seen his passenger's unusually hairy wrists? Just as anyone listening to the story would feel anxiety about the outcome for Matthew. What did you do? Were you really stuck there for 2 whole days? Of course, such things did not really happen. Except, thought Matthew, this really is happening. And not having heard the outcome of the story, I must decide what to do. He sat down on the floor, leaning back against the wall, and attempted to clear his mind. First of all, he thought, I haven't done anything wrong, and therefore have nothing with which to reproach myself. I've simply sought to avoid social embarrassment, which is perfectly understandable. Indeed, even laudable. Not only would he have been ashamed had Mrs. Patterson Cowie seen him clasping a copy of 50 Shades, but she herself could have felt embarrassed. So, at least in one view, he had acted thoughtfully, and might even be congratulated for his sensitivity. But that threw no light on his options. As far as he could make out, these were: 1. To bang on the door immediately in the hope of attracting attention of somebody who would then unlock the door. That person, however, could be Mrs. Patterson Cowie herself, and that would be extremely awkward. 2. To wait 10 minutes, allowing Mrs. Patterson Cowie to move to another part of the shop, then to bang loudly for attention. Or 3. To do nothing, hoping that in the fullness of time, a member of staff would feel the need to use the corridor and would, in this way, end his awkward durance. He weighed these 3 options, eventually deciding upon the first. There was a possibility that his former teacher would be the one to open the door for him, but he had alighted upon a way of obviating any embarrassment that might be caused by the book. He would simply tuck it into the waistband of his trousers. It was marginally too large to fit into his pocket. He had tried that, but it could easily be concealed under the waistband. Then, at an opportune moment, he could slip it back onto the shelf, or indeed onto any shelf. He had read somewhere that the staff of bookshops were accustomed to re-shelving salacious books that had been slipped back into an innocent but incorrect place on their shelves. He rose to his feet. With the book tucked out of sight, Matthew returned to the outer door and knocked heavily 3 times. Then, feeling vaguely foolish about it, he cried out, "Anybody there?" He stopped and listened. There was complete silence. He knocked again, more loudly this time, and was on the point of shouting out once more when he heard a voice on the other side.
"I'm here,"
said the voice. Matthew hesitated. Then he said, "Oh, would you mind unlocking this door?" There was silence on the other side. Then, at length, the voice said,
"Are you there?"
"Yes," said Matthew. "I'm here. Are you there?"
"I'm here,"
came the reply.
What do you want?"
Matthew felt a surge of irritation. "I want you to unlock the door." He struggled to keep his voice even. He had already asked this person, whoever he was, to unlock the door. How many times would he need to make the request?
"What?
Asked the voice.
What do you want me to do?"
"To unlock the door," said Matthew, his voice now appreciably raised.
"Who are you?"
asked the voice. "That doesn't matter," said Matthew. "I just want you to unlock the door."
"I'm not sure if I should,"
said the voice.
"I'm just a customer."
"Oh, for heaven's sake," snapped Matthew. "Don't be so ridiculous."
"There's no need to be rude,"
said the voice. "I'm not being rude," said Matthew, seething now. "You're the one who's being rude. Not helping someone who's trapped is being extremely rude."
"Who's trapped?"
said the voice. "Oh, you complete gawk," expostulated Matthew. I'm trapped behind this door, and all you have to do is open it."
"Don't you call me a gawk,"
the voice retorted.
"You're the gawk."
"Shut up," shouted Matthew. "Just open this." And here Matthew swore. He was not given to swearing, but he could not contain himself. This was just so ridiculous and so intensely frustrating.
"Don't you use that language to me,"
said the voice.
"I'm trying to be helpful. That's the trouble with this country. It's become so foul-mouthed. People don't even realize they're swearing."
"Just open the door," Matthew pleaded. "I didn't mean to swear at you. I really didn't."
"Are you going to apologize?"
asked the voice. Matthew was now desperate. "Of course I'll apologize." There was the sound of another voice, and a muttered conversation that Matthew could not hear properly. And then there was a clicking sound, and the door swung open. There, standing outside, was a man in his mid-30s, slightly corpulent, wearing a blue sweater, and with an annoyed, disapproving look on his face. This was the voice with whom Matthew had conducted such a fraught conversation. Then, at his side, was the assistant manager of the bookshop, identified as such by the badge on his shirt. And finally, behind the two of them, and gazing at Matthew with undisguised interest, Mrs. Patterson Cowie. "What's been going on?" asked the assistant manager. "How did you get in there?" I took a wrong turning, said Matthew. It says staff only, pointed out the assistant manager. Matthew felt his cheeks turning red. I know, but I just did. I'm sorry. He said he was trapped, said the man in the blue sweater. Well, I was, said Matthew. And he used some pretty strong language, continued the man. Mrs. Patterson Cowie looked disapproving. Matthew, though, was relieved that she appeared not to recognize him. Why did you go in there? Asked the assistant manager. You weren't thinking of shoplifting, were you? Matthew drew in his breath sharply. That's what I thought, said the man in the blue sweater. That's exactly what I thought. Oh, don't be ridiculous, said Matthew. Then why have you got a book tucked into your waistband? Asked the assistant manager.